Straight Talk Commerce. 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Team, our Q2 strategy is to build a giant robot. It will rampage through Tokyo. Profits will be astronomical.
Brilliant, let's do it!
Yes, a game changer.
Everyone listen, we're in danger.
Nonsense, stick to the agenda.
No, Godzilla is coming. Quiet. He's here, run.
Go, go, go!
It's right behind us.
Don't look back! Keep moving! It's gaining on us! This way!
The most dangerous person in your company might not be the one who argues with you. It might be the one who agrees with every word you say. If you introduce a bad idea, they nod. If you overlook a problem, they remain whisper quiet. You begin driving your company directly toward a cliff, and instead of grabbing the steering wheel from you, they compliment your driving.
I have a great idea for Q2. I need to know you are bought in. Absolutely, boss.
That is not loyalty. That is fear disguised as agreement. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many businesses claim they want brilliant employees, but what they really want are obedient employees who make them feel brilliant. They want experience, but they don't want resistance. They want ideas, but they do not want challenges to their own. They want leadership, but only when that leadership never threatens their own authority. Today, on the Straight Talk Commerce podcast, we're going to talk about why that approach will keep your company small. We're going to examine the value of hiring people who know more than you, people who respectfully disagree with you, and people who may eventually become capable of replacing you. Because the purpose of leadership is not to remain the smartest person in the room. It's to build a room where you no longer need to be. And before we're finished, I'm going to give you a simple hiring framework I call the 3R test. It is going to help you identify the people who can build your company, resist your mistakes, and eventually replace you. I am Wayne Altman. This is the Straight Talk Commerce podcast. We're going to begin in
3, 2, 1, let's go.
No fluff, no hype, just the real deal. Wayne Altman's here, yeah, you know the drill. Talking business, talking shop, making moves non-stop. From e-com to hustle, straight talk, no problem.
All right, here's a question that every single business owner should be asking. Can my company ever become smarter than I am? Because when every important decision must come through you, your intelligence becomes the company's intelligence ceiling. Your knowledge becomes its knowledge ceiling. Your available time becomes its growth ceiling. Your weaknesses become weaknesses throughout the entire organization, and you may be excellent at sales, but terrible at operations. You may understand the product, but you might not understand how to market it. You might be a brilliant visionary, but have absolutely no interest in accounting, logistics, hiring, technology, customer service, or process management. That is normal. The problem begins when you refuse to hire people who are stronger than you in those areas because their expertise will make you feel uncomfortable. A weak leader asks, will this person challenge my authority? A strong leader asks, what can this person see that I do not? Hiring someone smarter than you does not reduce your value. It multiplies it. You are no longer limited to what you personally know. You gain access to their knowledge. The whole reason to hire them to begin with is their experience, their judgment, their relationships, and their perspective. But will create another uncomfortable question. Why is it that so many owners continually hire beneath their own ability?
I like Gork for shipping, but what does he know about logistics?
Look, most bad hiring decisions are not caused by a lack of available talent. Talent's everywhere. It's caused by ego. A candidate who agrees with everything that you say actually feels safe. They'll laugh at the owner's jokes. They praise the company's strategy. They say the owner is brilliant before they even examine the idea. The interview, it feels wonderful, but the owner may not be hiring competence. They might be hiring someone that's an emotional support person. A stronger candidate feels different. That candidate asks questions, and those questions can be difficult. Why are we doing it this way? What evidence supports this decision? What happens if our sales double? Who is responsible for this if it fails? Those questions often feel confrontational, especially when it's someone who is accustomed to controlling every conversation. But those might be the questions that save your company. Your employees are not supposed to protect your ego. They are supposed to protect your business. The smartest person is not always the person with the highest degree or the most impressive resume. It's very often different than that person. It will be the person closest to the customer. The employee packing orders may know more about shipping failures than the CEO. And that receptionist, you might understand customer frustration better than the marketing director. The salesperson will know buyers why they're rejecting an offer because the analytics report overreaches management. Or smart leadership means recognizing that important intelligence comes from anywhere in the company. But knowledge alone is not enough. The employee must also feel safe enough to tell you what they know.
Hey, Dave, if you knew the Q3 numbers were going to be this bad, why not mention it to me?
Duh!
Most of this wouldn't be such a problem, except for the fact that silence is so damned expensive. Imagine that one of your employees notices a very serious problem. A promotion that's confusing customers, or a new product is receiving a ton of complaints.
I am up for a promotion next month. If you think I am rocking the boat, you are nuts!
A manager that's mistreating some of your other employees. A major account that they know is planning to leave. The new employee now makes a calculation. Is telling the truth going to help my career, or is it going to damage my career? And if a previous employee was embarrassed, punished, or ignored for challenging your leadership, that employee is going to remain silent forevermore. The company does not lose the employee's intelligence. They just lose access to it. Google's Project Aristotle examined what made teams effective, and they identified psychological safety. The belief that people can take interpersonal risks without being punished as an important team characteristic. Now, that does not mean that every idea must be accepted. No, it means employees must be able to raise concerns without being treated as disloyal. And there is a tremendous amount of difference between saying you are wrong and saying I believe this decision might be wrong and here's why. Strong companies will debate decisions. Weak companies debate loyalty. There also has to be a boundary. Disagreement only creates value when people understand what they are allowed to disagree about. All right, so let's take this a little bit deeper. Mission alignment is not method agreement. You should not hire people who oppose the fundamental purpose of your company. If your company promises exceptional customer service, do not hire someone who believes customers are an inconvenience.
I hate everything this company stands for. But I need a job, so when can I start?
If your company competes through quality, do not place someone in your leadership who wants to reduce quality every time it saves a buck. People must be aligned with your mission, yes, but they do not need to agree with every single method you use to accomplish it. That distinction is actually critical. The mission tells us where we are going. The method determines how we get there. Your employees should be allowed to challenge the route without attempting to destroy the destination or change destinations. Suppose your vision is to become the most trusted roofing company in your city. Now, an employee might completely agree with that vision, but disagree with the advertising plan that's going to get you there.
You own 34% of the billboards in the city. Your cost per just went up 44%. A change of strategy might be in order.
They might believe that documenting real transformations on YouTube will generate more trust than purchasing yet another billboard. They're not opposing the vision. They are offering a better route to it. A healthy organization says, we all agree on this destination. Now, let's honestly argue about the best road to get there. An unhealthy organization says, the owner chose this road, so questioning it is betrayal. You don't need people who constantly fight for the sake of fighting. Too many organizations like that. You need people who care enough about the outcome to challenge a weak decision. And one famous creative company turned that kind of challenge into a repeatable system. You like a case study? I know you do. Pixar. Pixar became known not for just talented individuals, but for creating a process that exposed unfinished ideas to candid criticism. Its brain trust brought experienced creative people together to examine projects, identify problems, and provide direct feedback. And that group's role was to advise rather than take control of the director's project. Trust, candor, they were essential to the process. And think about how unusual that is, because a director may have spent years developing a film. That film becomes personal. The characters in that film are personal. The story is personal. Then a room full of very highly capable people begins identifying everything that is not working. That could become humiliating. It could become very political. It could get very destructive. That process works only when the criticism is aimed at improving the project rather than establishing who's the smartest. And that gives a very important rule. Challenge the work, never attack the worker. The scene is confusing, that is useful information. You do not understand storytelling, that is personal. This strategy exposes us to unnecessary risk. That's actually pretty useful. You always make terrible decisions is incredibly personal. Great teams can be hard on ideas while remaining respectful to one another. The objective is not to win the argument. The objective is to improve the result. Remind your people every single time this comes up, we are just here to improve the result. What happens after everyone's been heard and a final decision must be made? Because that is where disagreement must become commitment. Now, here is where the more difficult part of the process comes in. Disagreeing and commitment. Amazon includes a have backbone, disagree, and commit among its leadership principles. And that principle expects leaders to respectfully challenge decisions when they disagree, even when doing so is uncomfortable. Now, once a decision has been made, that team is expected to commit and move forward. And that second part matters. Constructive disagreement does not mean endless disagreement, endless debate. You cannot reopen the argument every single morning. You cannot quietly undermine the decision because your idea was not the one selected. You cannot go around telling your coworkers, I knew this would fail, but the boss refused to listen. Healthy dissent happens before you make the decision. Commitment, that's what happens after the decision has been made. And a good leader should say, tell me why you believe I'm wrong, but bring evidence. Challenge my assumptions. Make your strongest case possible. But make the commitment that once we decide, we'll move together forward. That creates a company where truth is welcome without allowing the debate to become paralysis. There's a saying, paralysis by analysis. We're talking about that here. The leader retains responsibility for the final decision. Hiring smart people does not mean surrendering your leadership. It means making better informed decisions, utilizing the resources around you, human resources. You are still responsible for settling direction, determining priorities, protecting your culture, and making the final call when agreement is impossible. But you should never confuse being responsible for the decision with being the only person capable of improving it. And that brings us to perhaps the greatest fear of all. What happens when the people you hire become capable of doing your job?
Are you nervous about leaving everything behind?
Not at all. This feels right.
Good. I'm excited.
Not in the least. I hired people who can handle things when I'm absent.
You know, for some people, this is one of the hardest things to do in business ownership, and it's hire someone who could replace you. Some leaders will deliberately prevent their employees from ever becoming too capable. They withhold information. They keep important relationships to themselves. They remain the only person with access to certain accounts, certain systems, or even procedures. They tell themselves that this makes them indispensable. It actually makes your company very fragile. And when one person has to approve everything, that person is a bottleneck to that business.
You know, we could have buried his business at the same time we buried him. He was smart enough to make sure it would go on without him.
Employees stop deciding things on their own. Customers have to wait. Opportunities vaporize. They just disappear. The owner cannot take a vacation without constant monitoring the phone. The business might produce an income, but it has not become independent. And a business that cannot function without you is not an asset. It might simply be a very demanding job that you happen to own. Developing someone who can replace you does not make you irrelevant. It actually releases you to work on the next level of the company. And when someone else can manage today's operation, you get to build tomorrow's opportunity. When someone else can manage one location, you go open in a second location. And when someone can handle other routine customers, you get time to pursue strategic partnerships. When someone else leads a department, you get to concentrate on the company as a whole. Every time you successfully replace yourself in one responsibility, your capacity actually expands. Your objective should not be to replace yourself or to become unnecessary overnight. It should be to stop being so necessary for every ordinary decision. Now, finding someone capable of replacing you requires far more than hiring intelligence. You've got to be able to give that person information, authority, responsibility, and the room to make decisions. You cannot ask someone to think like an owner when you treat them like a toddler.
So let me get this straight. After weeks of planning, you're telling me this is the budget for Saturday's event? You were supposed to be responsible for this.
I'm sorry.
Tracy, how would you reallocate the $145,000 we budget for marketing and event production? Have you ever run departments with this size budget?
My last position, I was in charge of $2.1 million. We should be good to go.
To avoid the risk of being misunderstood here, I want to tell you the difference between delegation and abdication. There's also a mistake on the other side of this, you guys. Some owners will hire a talented person and then hand over an entire department and disappear.
We'd like to offer you the sales manager position.
What in the world is going on here?
That's not empowerment. That is abandonment. Smart employees do not necessarily want an absent leader. They want a useful one. They want clear outcomes. They want access to information. They want honest feedback. They actually want the authority to execute, and they want a leader who will remove obstacles without constantly taking control. Your role changes from do exactly what I say to here is the outcome we need. Show me how you intend to achieve it. That creates a partnership. The employee is bringing in their expertise. The leader brings the context, the resources, and organizational authority. Both sides are going to remain involved, but neither side is going to pretend to know everything. And the goal is not to hire brilliant people and just leave them alone. The goal is to hire brilliant people and build an environment where their brilliance can affect the result. So how do you recognize these people before you ever even hire them? You use the 3R test. Every important hire should accomplish at least one of these things. Your strongest hires will actually accomplish all three. R number 1 is raise. Will this person raise the standard of our company? They should bring knowledge, ability, judgment, or experience that the company does not currently possess. Ask yourself, what can this person teach us? What problem can they solve better than I can? What becomes possible after they join us? Do not hire merely a set of hands. Hire another source of intelligence. R number 2, resist. Will this person resist a bad decision respectfully? You are not searching for an argumentative personality. No one wants to be around that. You are searching for professional courage. Ask them during the interview, tell me about a time that you disagreed with a manager. What did you say? What evidence did you present? What happened after the final decision? A strong candidate can disagree without becoming disagreeable or disrespectful. They can make their case without making the discussion personal. And when that final decision is made, they will commit to that decision without sulking or sabotage. Very important. R number 3, replace. Could this person eventually replace you in a important responsibility? Could they actually run their department? Could they be counted on to train other people? Can they maintain the standard while everyone is gone? And could they make decisions without requiring constant reassurance or supervision? Do not ask whether they can replace your entire entity as a founder. Ask whether they can replace your personal involvement in specific functions: sales, operations, hiring, customer service, production, marketing. One responsibility at a time. And that is how you transform a company from something powered by your personal effort into something powered by a capable organization. That's growth. Raise, resist, replace. Now you know the 3R test. All right, to help you find these people, I have developed 5 questions for you to ask before you make your next hire. These questions can be used immediately. Question number 1.
Hey, Dave, what do you know about this position that I don't?
Now, this allows confident candidates to demonstrate their expertise without forcing them to pretend you don't know anything. Question number 2.
Tell me about a decision you successfully challenged.
I want you to listen for tact, evidence, and their judgment. Question number 3.
Grog, tell me about a decision you disagreed with, but supported after it was implemented.
Now, this reveals whether they understand the difference between dissent and disloyalty. Question number 4.
Grog, what would you improve about my company in the first 90 days?
A strong candidate will usually observe before promising any dramatic changes, but they should still be capable of identifying possible opportunities. Question number 5.
Tracy, what would you need from me to run the entire department without me?
That question changes the entire interview. It changes, actually, the entire relationship. It tells your candidate that leadership is possible. It tells you whether they understand systems, authority, and accountability. And it also demonstrates that you do. And it begins the process of building your replacement before you desperately need one. All right, everybody, it's time to wrap this up with a final lesson. Some owners want to be the source of every good idea. Some leaders want the company to produce good ideas from everywhere. Some owners measure their importance by how many decisions require their approval. Some leaders measure their success by how many capable decision makers they personally develop. And some owners will punish disagreement, while others understand that respectful disagreement may be their final warning before making a very expensive mistake. Do not hire people because they make you feel intelligent. Hire people who make your company more intelligent. Do not demand agreement with every single one of your methods. Demand commitment to your mission. Demand honesty during the debate and unity after that decision is made. And do not be afraid of developing someone who can replace you. It's the point. But you should be afraid of building a company where nobody can replace you. Your greatest employee quite often will know more than you do. They might challenge you. They may occasionally prove you wrong. And one day, they may be capable of doing work that once required your constant presence. That is not a threat to your leadership. The result of it exhibits your leadership. Hire people who raise the standard. Hire people who will resist bad decisions. Hire people who can replace you. Because when you are always the smartest person in the company, you have not built a great team. You've built an audience for yourself. This is Straight Talk Commerce. I am Wayne Altman. I want you to build a company filled with people who tell you the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. And I want you to remember, I love you.
Just the real deal. Wayne Altman's here, yeah, you know the drill. Talking business, talking shop, making moves non-stop. From e-com to hustle, straight talk, no props. Straight talk, no gimmicks, no lies. Hey, I break it down with the sharpest lines.
No, this way, you're wrong. No, my way is better. Fine, together then. Agreed, let's go.
You know we could have buried his business at the same time we buried him. He was smart enough to make sure it would go on without him.
Are you nervous about leaving everything behind?
Not at all. This feels right.
Good. I'm excited.